We live in a world where some of us take better care of our smartphones than we do of ourselves. Most of us wouldn't leave the house in the morning without charging our devices, but if we run out of time, we might forget to exercise or skip breakfast or not meditate because we're a bit too busy. It's such an interesting dynamic how over the past few years, the technology has grown so quickly that in our smartphones, we have the ability to be able to do something that would have taken 40 or 50 different machines and devices to do in the past. Everything from a flashlight to a calculator to a telephone to a device to communicate with one another, to make notes and to order a taxi, at the same time check a recipe and take a photograph and share that. It's really phenomenal how the technology has grown and will continue to grow in the future. And in that, it's so exciting for me as well, because I really see the ability to be able to use this technology and the decreasing cost of things like the hardware as well as the connectivity. It's not going to be long before every person on this planet has access to a smart device and a fast internet connection, which I see as a huge opportunity for us to take things like education and be able to take a high school or even university level Harvard education and deliver it to a kid sitting under a tree in India for free. And that gets me so excited, and it really fills me with positive aspirations as to how we can use this technology to really make a difference. At the same time, some of the most powerful and influential companies in the world are spending huge amounts of money and investing in the most powerful and smart people in the world to make sure that this brand new economy, the attention economy, is making sure that we spend as much time as possible staring at these devices, because the more time we spend staring at our phones, the more time those tech giants can sell our attention to potential advertisers. At the same time, I see myself getting super activated by the amount of time that people do spend on their smart devices, times that were allocated for social connection and connecting with other human beings. And I find myself sometimes getting super angry when I see a family of four sitting in a restaurant and all of them are on their devices, kids playing on their iPhones, parents checking emails and on Facebook and scrolling. And while I don't necessarily believe that that's wrong, it's also an interesting dynamic for me to track in myself. And when I feel myself activated by seeing a family all on their devices and my story starts to go like, fuck, we're losing the ability to even communicate, I just track that and see, where does it come from in my world and why do I get so activated by that? And I've quickly noticed that when we were growing up, our family always used to sit around the table and we would have dinner, breakfast or lunch, however we were eating, and there wouldn't be TV. We would all sit and have a conversation with one another. And I guess it was in that I now see society breaking down because we're unable to sit together as a family and eat. And those are the very basis of forming strong connections. Doesn't mean that either of them are right or wrong. It's just a point that I'm tracking in myself continually. About 3 weeks ago, I left my iPhone in a taxi in Costa Rica. And because I needed to get a new one delivered from the States, I spent the last 3 weeks without an iPhone. And it was really an interesting thing for me to be able to track my own personal behavior as I spent the time going about my life, perfectly okay, by the way, without having a phone, and just seeing how I was a little bit more present with the things that I was doing because I wasn't able to be distracted. And it just made me aware in those moments where I would often, in the first few days specifically, I would be sitting down and maybe I had a moment to myself and I'd suddenly think, oh, let me share something on Instagram. No, I can't, I don't have a phone. Or I would be reading a book and I'd be like, I wonder if anybody's contacted me, and look for my phone, which I didn't have. And that slowly started to fade away. I still have my iPad that I can read on, and I still have my Mac that I can do work, and I haven't been that badly disconnected from the world. But it was just an interesting thing to be able to track. And now that I have my phone back, I wanted to be a little bit intentional about my smart device, my new phone that I picked up yesterday. This is the first vlog that I'm doing on it. And we talk quite a lot about this idea of a pregame, and the pregame is just the setup of anything that you think is important in your world, is to take a little bit of time and look at that next phase from a position of gratitude and as something that you want to get out of that phase. And as I was coming back on a boat from where I went to go and collect my phone from yesterday, I decided to do a pregame for my new phone. And it sounded something like this. Close my eyes, just taking a moment to be so grateful to be able to order $1,000 iPhone and to be able to have this powerful piece of technology coming into my world, despite having lost the exact same device 3 weeks ago. So that was pretty strong. I then spent a bit of time just unpacking my intentions for this phone, and they sounded something like this. I want to make sure that this new iPhone is a servant for me and not a master, that I use it with intention to be able to make a living and to stay connected to people that I care about, but at the same time not let it rule me or take me away from my presence in the tasks that I'm doing and the connections that I'm with, and just to use this device for a way that serves me and not the other way around. So I just wanted to share that with you, and it covers two things. First of all, the attention economy, which is such a big thing, and I want to talk a little bit more about it and how we're using lifestyle design to make sure that we control our own time and not get sucked into our smart devices and social networks every single moment of every single day. But also, just again, this idea of a pregame and being intentional about the things that we're doing in our life. So I hope that you're good watching me on your smart device wherever you are. And I hope that you're able to take something from this and just use this idea of being intentional about anything, but specifically about your smartphone, and just realizing how much time we spend on it, and just making sure that the time we spend there is really serving us in a way that's making us the best version of ourselves. Sending you love from a beautiful sunny Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. Till next time, ciao, ciao.